Look, we've got tons of comments that I need to throw at you. A lot of people asking about team selections, about who you would start, who you throw in. But before that, there's a couple of people. I mean, Blue Nose John, he says, get Keith in to do the team talk. And your friend, Pal Gianni, is concerned about you. He says, lucky Keith is a stick of, I think he means stack, of Greek cigs on the cheap to get him through tomorrow night's game. I mean, we all know that your body's a tempo in that, vapes only.
Exactly, that's a ridiculous thing to say.
Exactly, usual from Gianni. On the actual game,
from a ridiculous man.
On the actual game on the pitch, let me throw a couple of comments at you. Big Rab says the Scotland team hasn't replaced Kalmak or got anyone else that can, and the player in the middle can tick. Where is Miller, as he has that in his locker? Green Machine says the game is too close to call, even though it's a home tie. Scotland usually makes things hard for themselves. We need to score first. Alex the Gamer says, don't know how we've managed it, but we have a chance. Let's take it. This feels like it's destined to be, as we've been lucky at times. Come on, Scotland. Davy Mick isn't as confident. He says the Danes haven't lost a game yet. They'll be like a wounded animal tomorrow night, and they also beat the Greeks twice. The McKenzie family, they say, can't make up my mind who I want to start up front. I think I'd rather Dykes. I don't really rate Shankland. Adam owes us a goal. Joseph says, must play Shankland. Not big Aussie. Not fit. Hurst is the big name. Young, fast players, of course. Ben Doak. And Modernist Gaming says we're going to see McKenna Hendry. And of course, friend of the show, Kyle Gunn says, guys, big question. With no Gilmore, do we go 2 up top and miss out midfield? And that brings us nicely, Keith, to your team selection.
It's a good question. It's a good question from Kyle, isn't it? And because that's exactly what we did in Copenhagen. We did give up the midfield. We, looked for Lyndon Dykes to win headers. My God, if he won one header, he must have won about 99 of them. Yep. It's hard to think of one that he didn't win. He really gave them something to think about. And for that reason, I think I would start with them. Listen, there's a whole bunch of stuff. And because nothing has really been working and we've kind of been getting by this campaign almost by accident at times, and because I asked that question of Steve Clarke, do you still trust him? Do you really, really, really still trust him? Because I think he will lose a bit of trust given the standard, the poor level of performances that the side has put in at this critical point. And yet here we are, 90 minutes away. I think overall he does trust them. And I think what he's asking for is for the nation to trust. Just put your trust just for 90 minutes. You know what? If it doesn't work, you can come after Clarke. And by the way, I'm sure we'll still be going after. We'll still be going into a playoff. But let's just park everything for 90 minutes and let's see what he comes up with. If it's me, I don't want to sacrifice the midfield. I think we're a better team than that. I don't think we have to resort to punting it long and winning second balls, even though we did, and even though it got us the point we needed in Copenhagen. A point's not enough this time round. I want to see us try and dominate. I want to see us get in the ball. I want our better players to get on the ball. I do think it's a sore one that Billy Gilmore's not going to be part of that, but I do think we've got the players that can play Denmark at their own game in the middle of the pitch. I don't think we need to give it up. I do think we've got players that can hurt them still.
Sorry, I didn't mean to jump in. I think we can see your team actually on the screen.
It's a difficult one. You dropped this one on my lap with about 5 minutes to go before we went on air.
It was about 5:30, but I thought a pro of Keith's caliber, he can easily.
I think I did more than half an hour. Honestly, do you know what I've done as well? I think that's more me thinking that this is the team that Steve Clarke will pick, apart from maybe one or two.
Do you know what was weird? See McGinn on that left-hand side. I know he can play everywhere, basically, John McGinn. I thought he was brilliant the other night. He just took the game and went, I'm going to just run at this player. I know it's not his game. He's no a jet-heeled winger, but just his determination the other night. I could see him getting a goal tomorrow.
Yeah, but he's not a winger.
No, of course not.
And nobody would pretend it would. He's not. But he plays the position very cleverly. And what this system allows Steve Clarke to do is get McTominay in a more advanced position. You could look at it. I know that people would there's been a bit of criticism of Lewis Ferguson since Saturday. I don't think he had his greatest game. I think he's still to really catch fire as a Scotland player. This could be the game for him.
Yeah.
But I think if you put McTominay or McGinn back in that sort of deep line midfield position, you lose the threat,
Yeah.
or part of the threat that they offer, and a more advanced part of the team. And I think we're going to have to carry a threat. We're obviously going to have to carry a threat, as Andy Robertson said there himself. We need to score at least once. You know, there was a whole bunch of things going through your head when you're sitting there looking at that. Do you bring Kieran Tierney back? Do you go back to the five, and get Robertson and Hickey further up the pitch on the flanks?
Maybe get two up
Do
front,
that.
Shankland or whatever. Or...
Yeah. But I think if you do that, what are you going to do with Mick Gannon Doak?
Aye, that's true. I know.
Um, there are some people that might even suggest, yeah, you know, his final ball's still not as polished as it should be, and he might be better coming on, impacting the game from the bench. I just can't have it. I know there are still faults in his game. His blistering pace terrifies teams.
Yeah.
Terrifies them. We
Yeah.
saw what he did to Guardiola. Um, I think he's got to start. And I also think, see, on Hampden's such a big surface, there's so much space for a player like him to go and enjoy. Yeah, he's got to start for me.
What about the defence, Keith? I mean, you've obviously said that you would go with McKenna. Joseph is another
Again,
one.
I'm kind of basing this a lot on what I think Steve Clarke will do.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think there's a better balance. Listen, John Souttar certainly didn't have his finest game in Greece on Saturday night. Terrible mistake at the first goal. I don't know what he was doing. It was schoolboy stuff. But he's better than that. And I'm saying Hanley comes out. There's probably. I mean, he wasn't the two of them. You know, I thought Hanley really get skinned for the second goal and the breakaway as well. Hanley might have reacted quicker at the first goal
Yeah.
after Craig Gordon makes the
Aye.
initial save. So neither of them actually come out of that with, you know, they certainly don't come out with flying colours. And I'm sure there'll be arguments out there for they should both be replaced. I don't know. I've said I think he'll bring McKenna in. McKenna offers you that pace. He's got burning pace for a big boy, and I think we'll need that because, as I said, Hampden, big pitch. If you get caught in the counter, you need all the pace you can get at the centre of defence.
Yeah.
For that reason, and the reason that it's 2 games in short succession, I think Souttar's, you know, that little bit younger. He's able to go again. I think McKenna does come in. I suspect that'll be the move that Steve Clarke makes. Now he could bring back, he could rip it all up, and why wouldn't you? Because it's not really worked that well over the last 3 games. So would it be the biggest shock in the world if he ripped it up and went to 5 and got Kieran Tierney back in? Because this system was, the 5 at the back system was created specifically with Tierney in mind.
Yep.
He could do that. But again, what do you do with Doak? Listen, I'm just glad. I'm just glad that Steve Clarke making these choices and not me, because I think I would do one of them. I'd rip that team up about 42 times in the next 42 minutes and be, you know, writing a new one. So I think Steve Clarke. What I'm pleased to say is I think he knows in his own mind he's settled
Aye.
with what he wants to do. It was brought up to him, it was mentioned to him today, and we'd talked about this previously, that after the Greece doubleheader in the Nations League, he said that he didn't make enough changes for the second game, and he said that was a lesson that he's learned. But he's taken a big step back from that in his presser today. He actually said something more along the lines of, well, what we've done is we've changed our routine. We went to the training camp. That means we only had, you know, we didn't have back-to-back long flights, a long flight out and a long flight back. We went out to Turkey. So I think he was walking back a little bit from suggesting wholesale changes. So I think there might just be one or two. And I think, as I said there in my team selection, I don't know if this will be Steve Clarke's choice or not. Maybe it's mine. And maybe it's to do with how well Dykes did physically against the Danes in the opening game of the group. I wouldn't be surprised to see Lyndon Dykes lead the line. And in fact, if it was me, I'm trying to get inside Steve Clarke's head, and it's impossible to do. It's impossible. How many times have we sat before a Scotland game and went, "What is that? What is he thinking?"
But
so
then,
I've not even got to try and do
he
that.
gets the result.
He gets it right. Yeah, he gets it right. We get it wrong. and I'm happy to say that, delighted to say it.